So, we all think we know the creation story in Genesis, right? But what if I told you its original purpose had almost nothing to do with explaining science and everything to do with giving a powerful message of hope to a nation that was completely lost in the desert?
All right, let's just dive right in. For what feels like forever, there's been this huge debate, right? Is Genesis 1 supposed to be a scientific textbook? Does it clash with evolution or the Big Bang? We see this argument everywhere.
But what if asking about science is the completely wrong question to begin with? I mean, to really get what Genesis is all about, we have to go back, way back. We have to meet the people who first heard these words. Because context is everything.
Now, the very first people to hear this story were the ancient Israelites. And you've got to understand, they weren't sitting in a comfortable classroom. They were basically refugees, just escaping a national trauma that had been going on for hundreds of years.
400 years. I mean, just try to wrap your head around that number. For 4 centuries, the Israelites had been slaves in Egypt. This wasn't just a tough time. It was their entire reality for generation after generation.
Let that just sink in for a minute. You were born a slave, your parents were slaves, your grandparents were slaves. That's all you knew. Any sense of identity, of history, of hope, it was all just crushed under the weight of constant, brutal labor.
So the crisis they were in was just immense. Their history was gone. They were surrounded by all these powerful Egyptian gods, the sun god Ra, the Nile god Hapi. It probably made their own god feel pretty small and distant. And you can just imagine them thinking, what are we even worth? And now, after all that, they're free, only to be staring into a massive, empty, terrifying desert. And it's right here, in this exact moment of crisis, that the story of Genesis comes into play. It wasn't just some random history lesson. It was a direct, powerful, life-giving message written for them in that moment.
So this is the key. Genesis 1 was never meant to explain the how of creation scientifically. It was written to declare who God is. It was basically a divine intervention, a message designed to give a broken people their identity back and to prove that the God leading them was absolutely powerful enough to trust with their future.
And here is where it gets just incredible. The creation story is structured to deliberately echo the miracles the Israelites had just seen with their own eyes. It was designed for this huge collective aha moment. Think about it. What was their greatest moment of escape? Being trapped at the Red Sea, right? And what does God do? He parts the waters so they can walk through on dry land. Genesis taps right into that memory, basically saying, yeah, that's what your God does. He did that on a cosmic scale back in the beginning when he first separated the waters to create the world.
Or how about that pillar of fire, the one that lit up the night for them, but was total darkness to the Egyptian army chasing them? The message was crystal clear. The same God who just said, "Let there be light" on day 1 is the exact same God lighting your path through this wilderness right now.
The point of all these parallels was so powerful and so personal. It was God's way of saying to them, don't you get it? The awesome, universe-creating power I used to make everything, that's the exact same power I'm using to save you. You can trust me.
So when you pull all this together, the main idea of Genesis 1 for those first listeners becomes so obvious. It's this foundational statement that God is in complete and total control of everything. This one story was like a multi-layered message of hope, hitting every single one of their fears. It said, forget all those Egyptian gods. I'm the only one. Don't be afraid of this desert. I made all the plants and animals, and I'll take care of you. And most important of all, forget being a slave. Your worth isn't defined by that. You are made in my image. The final call to action was just so simple, trust me. You know, understanding all this original context, it does more than just solve some ancient puzzle. It actually unlocks this timeless principle that speaks to us today, way beyond all the arguments about science. The real message of Genesis is that the God who has power over the entire cosmos also cares deeply about our own individual journeys. It reframes our own struggles, our own personal deserts, as places where that same creative, powerful, and saving God is at work. And it leaves all of us with a really powerful question to think about. What does it actually mean to trust that the God holding the universe together is the very same one leading us through our own wilderness?